Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. With the recent revelation and official confirmation of the Ryzen 3 desktop CPUs, I thought it would be a fun video to do kind of a mock PC build to see how good of a PC we can build at a $450 budget utilizing the new Ryzen 3 CPU as well as a hypothetical B550 motherboard. Now, of course, these hardware parts are not available as of this moment. The Ryzen 3 CPUs will be dropping in May, starting at $99. There's the Ryzen 3 3100 and the 3300X. We're going to go with the 3100 in this mock build, and then the B550 chipset motherboards will be coming on June 16th. Now, obviously, I have to do a little bit of guesswork as far as the B550 motherboard price. However, to give you guys an idea, when the B450 motherboards dropped back in 2018, I believe, the ASRock B450 Pro 4, the regular size board, was $90. The Micro ATX board launched at $80, so I'm going to use an $80 price point as an ideal price for the motherboard, and obviously, everything else is available right now. So hopefully, by the time June rolls around, you can build this PC for $450. So let's get right into it. We'll go through this relatively quickly. Very surprised at the hardware I was able to fit in at $450. So obviously, right off the bat, you want to go with a Ryzen 3 3100. This is a very good CPU at $100. If you compare this to the competing i3, this looks like it's going to be a really good CPU. Of course, it is a 4-core CPU. However, it does have 8 threads, and this is going to be a really solid CPU at a budget level. At $100 to get a quad-core with 8 threads is pretty incredible. 65 watts. And the 3100 does boast a base frequency of 3.6 gigahertz, and it can go all the way up to 3.9 gigahertz. If you do want to spend the additional $20, the 3300X will give you a 3.8 gigahertz CPU, and it can go up to 4.3. Given the sake of this video is for the budget-minded consumer, I thought it would be better to go with the 3100 at $100, and that is a relatively good option. Alright, for the motherboard, we're talking a hypothetical B550 motherboard here. Let's say you're getting one from ASRock in June, and that'll be $80. So that's what we have to work with. That should be a good option. ASRock usually offers pretty good motherboards, but I would say come June, look at the options available. Hopefully, they are $80 to $90 around the cheaper B450 motherboards price point when they dropped. Of course, this is also adding support for PCIe 4.0 at a more mainstream level, so you don't have to go all in on a motherboard, and you can shop for a motherboard at a more budget price point. Because looking at some of the motherboards, the B570s, a lot of them are super expensive, so that is a little bit unfortunate, but B550 is going to open the floodgates for a lot of you guys that are on a tighter budget, especially in this climate. I know you guys got your stimulus checks, but you don't want to blow all of that on a nice gaming PC. I mean, if you do, more power to you, but I would say save some of it for some games, maybe some utilities, maybe some mortgage payments, maybe some rent payments, I don't know. Nonetheless, that is a pretty good option right now. Alright, so those are the two main things that are going to be an addition. Other things are readily available right now. 8GB of RAM, you're going to want to get two 4GB sticks. Obviously, you could go lower end and you can get something that's 2400 megahertz. I really would not recommend that in this day and age. I would get something around 3000. Now, RAM is something that's very fluid, but as of the moment of the recording this video, the Team T-Force Vulcan Z 8GB, two 4GB sticks, DDR4, 3000 megahertz RAM is at $45. I think that's a pretty good option, but RAM price is always going to be very fluid. Check out r/build-a-PC sales, and you can probably find RAM prices even better than what I'm going to mention directly in this video. I see RAM deals pop up all the time. 8GB of RAM is pretty standard these days. I know a lot of people are going with 16. However, at a $450 budget, you kind of have to go with 8GB of RAM, and maybe in the future, you can upgrade to 16GB of RAM as long as the motherboard supports it. Otherwise, 8GB is still very much serviceable. It might just put you on a little bit of a lifeline in terms of when you're going to need to upgrade. But if you look at game requirements, a lot of games are still recommending 8GB, and more often than not, at the very least, 8GB is going to be above the minimum requirement. A lot of times I see like minimum is 4GB, and then recommended is like 12 or 16GB, and 8GB kind of falls in that middle ground. Whatever the case may be, at a budget price point, 8GB is going to be a really solid way to go. Storage, now this is going to be rather interesting. Obviously, at a super tight budget, you can't go with an SSD and a mechanical hard drive. I mean, you can, and I would highly recommend you to spend the additional money to get both, but I feel like this day and age, an SSD is damn near a necessity. The Kingston A400 240GB SSD is at $37. Now, 240GB for the majority of people like me probably isn't enough. I know for a lot of other people, though, they're very limited with what they actually download, so maybe you can get by with that. What I would ideally recommend is maybe start off with the SSD SSD, install your OS on there, and then down the line, 6 to 9 months, get a 1TB hard drive as well, because that's going to add some longevity in terms of installing games and not having the need to delete them all the time. Alternatively, you could forego the SSD entirely. I don't think that's a great option, but if you do just want to get a mechanical hard drive, obviously you can do that. You could also go the route of spending a little bit extra to get a 500GB SSD or a 480GB SSD, because these are readily available, pretty cheap, and again, just like RAM prices, SSD prices are pretty fluid in the sense that deals are popping up all the time, so you could probably end up getting a much better deal than what I'm mentioning in this video. Alright, the video card is a no-brainer really at a budget price point. The Radeon RX 570 4GB is just a steal. I've seen it as low as $110. Right now it's $120, but this is a really good GPU for 1080p gaming. You're not going to max out absolutely everything and get 60 FPS, but that's kind of a threshold that not many GPUs can even hit. Even the higher end GPUs, there's always going to be the anomalies in there, whether they be bad PC ports, whether they just be older titles that haven't been updated, or whether they just be monster games. But at 1080p, an RX 570 is going to give you a very, very high quality performance, especially at this price point. If you're playing games like Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, Resident Evil 3, Witcher 3, I always have to give that a mention. Even upcoming games, I imagine like Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be able to be ran on the 570 very, very well. Does it put you on a little bit of a limit? Maybe, but I think the 570 is going to work pretty well for quite a while, maybe another 2 to 3 years. Are you going to be maxing out every game for 2 to 3 years? Probably not, but at a $450 budget, that's probably not what you're going for. And I'm talking about 2 to 3 years with the higher end games. Those are always going to have some limitations with cheaper GPUs, but the 570 for, you know, around $110, $120, that offers a lot of great performance for the money. All right, for the power supply, when with the Thermaltake Smart Series 430 watt power supply, you can spend a little bit more and get something a little bit better with higher wattage. You can get a 500, 600 watt power supply. RX 570 isn't anything crazy, and the build right now, I put in a Ryzen 5 3600 as a mock for PC Part Picker, and it noted 292 watts of estimated wattage, so it's not like you need anything super insane. And the Ryzen 5 3100 is going to be very, very power efficient, so something like a 430 watt power supply can do the trick very nicely, and that's at $38 right now. And lastly, the Cougar MX330 ATX mid-tower case is what I went with. Just like the SSD and just like RAM, cases are something that's going to be very fluid, and it's going to come down to a lot of personal preference. I know as far as cases go, some people like specific things than other people. Some people really love a side window. I just like something that looks really, really basic, looks really clean, has a decent finish to it, and that's what I dig. The Cougar MX330 is pretty nice for $42, but there's stuff like the Half 912 that I'll still champion to this day, and the Fractal design has a lot of great cases as well, so shop around, see what you like. I would recommend to get something on the cheaper end as far as a case goes at a lower budget, because at the end of the day, it's not going to have a gigantic ramification to your actual gaming experience, and that should be what's at the forefront when you're building a budget rig. That's going to conclude this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Obviously, you can build something like this right now if you go with an older Ryzen CPU. If you want to spend a little bit more money and get a Ryzen 5 CPU, the option is there to build something entirely different. I just wanted to do a mock build because it is in the news right now, and AMD's Ryzen 3 desktop CPUs are being hyped up quite a bit, and I think for budget PC builders, it's going to be a great option and a great time to get into PC gaming as well. I know the new consoles are coming out right around the corner, but you have to remember, a PC is a PC at the end of the day. It's going to be doing a lot more than just gaming. Yeah, I know the consoles can play some Netflix too, but you're talking about video editing, you're talking about live streaming, you're talking about controlling a lot of different things, mods. There's a lot of benefits to PC gaming than outside of just direct performance, and I feel like that's sometimes lost a little bit. Whatever the case may be, we don't even know how the next-gen consoles are going to perform. So yeah, it's kind of unfair to say which one would perform better at this point, and I do think $450 is going to end up being cheaper than what the consoles drop at, which isn't that a little bit interesting. That's going to conclude this video, guys. If you have a request for a future video, you can leave that in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.